गजब किया तेरे वादे पे एतबार किया गजब किया तेरे वादे पे
Welcome to another exciting episode of Unzip, Reboot, and Live. If you want to recharge your energy and live life on your own terms, then you are on the right channel. I'm your host, Prith Roy. Before I begin, if you like our content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so you are kept up to date with all our interviews and discussions. आज जाने की जिद ना करो, कागज की कश्ती, झुकी झुकी सी नजर. Very famous and lyrical words in the world of ghazals. But what is a ghazal, you may be asking? Today's guest is no stranger to lyricism, poetry, and ghazals. Singer, musician, composer, producer, community worker, music teacher, holding a day job, father of three, and I'm sure a doting husband. He's very active in his community with the Bangladesh Australia Association of Western Australia. And without much more delay, I have with me online Tasneemul Galib, or better known within his friend circle as Amit, which I'll be referring to him as Amidda. But you're also known as Amit of Islam. So welcome to the podcast, Amidda. How are you?
Thank you, Preet. How are you? I'm good, thanks.
That's good. Now, first question off the top is what's with all the names? Please tell us a bit of a story.
I think that's because I know, like we all probably have multiple identities in the sense that in our lives we have different roles to play, and for different roles and different activity we may have slightly different persona. That may be one of the reasons, but what actually happened is my birth name was Amitabh Islam. When I was born, my mama gave me that name. And later, way later actually, when I was probably 9, 10 years old, my Nana, my grandfather from the maternal side, he actually gave me another name, which is the Tasneemul Islam Muhammad Galib. That's my full name. And later on, when I was about to sit for the board exam for the secondary school certificate exam, SSC in Bangladesh, then my name was changed from my birth name, Amitabh Islam, to this religious name, basically. And fundamentally, it was because I think my parents, especially my father, thought it's good to have the religious name, sort of like a superstition maybe, that played behind his decision. But I was actually more creatively more involved, more engaged in creative pursuits, especially like participating in competitions and doing like regular singing and whatnot on Bangladesh radio and TV. All those activities were done under my birth name, Amitabh Islam. So later on, when I thought of doing music a bit more seriously, I decided like, okay, maybe I should go back to my birth name, which was more associated with my creative pursuits. So that's why I have chosen this name again. Although I have a few releases under my formal name as well. Back in 2006 and 2016, there was a long 10 years gap when I didn't release anything. And then 2016, I started releasing again. And first few releases were under my formal name. And again, to me, maybe it was my superstition that, okay, before that Amitabh Islam name was somewhat successful. And after coming back from 10 years, big gap when I was releasing again, I was not seeing much response. So I thought maybe I should just go back to my more successful birth name and see where it takes me. But at the same time, I also think like this is probably another influence from one of my idols, one of my gurus, and my mama. He did the same thing in his life. He's a actor, director. He's a theater artist basically. He used to work
Oh,
in the
wow.
theaters, and he's well renowned. And he passed away 2 years back. And he had the same thing. He had a name given to him by like religious practice, and later on when he was doing his acting, like pursuing his acting career, he changed his name to a more modern sounding name. So I think that probably also played some sort of yeah, that also probably influenced my decision of going back to my birth name, which is slightly more modern than the traditional name that I have. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's amazing. Amazing from where it's come from, the names
Yeah.
and your journey as well as a musician. Now let's I want to ask you a few questions about your journey and growth, because a lot of us we're living in a global playing field now. We don't just stay in our own country, grow up in our own country, work there. We have to go out, and a lot of other students and people who are looking for work are coming out of countries. They're moving abroad to study and settle down potentially. So we never truly know the challenges until we experience it ourselves. But I want you to just tell us a bit about your challenges, and also any thoughts or advice you have for others that are also preparing themselves to come to a new country to study, work, or settle down.
Sure, Preet. That's a good question for anyone who has migrated. Now, my experience, my journey, it's a long one, in the sense that I have left Bangladesh back in January 3rd to be precise, in 2000. So yeah, there was a big thing, Y2K bug and all that. Like everyone was afraid what's going to happen with the airline industry, because like that date problem, because they never thought of the date with
Exactly.
2000. Yeah, they thought like, oh, 00, whether it will mean 2000 or 1900. Anyway, so that was 2000 January when I left for Canada. So I did my undergraduate in Canada, in Toronto. And I was only 18, 19 years old. Living abroad or settling in a foreign country, that was always in my mind. So mentally, I was ready to take any challenges. However, no matter how much you prepare, no matter how much you, groom yourself to settle abroad, it's one thing when you are doing all that work from your homeland, and it's completely different when you actually arrive in a different country. And when I went to Canada, I didn't know any one single individual from Bangladesh. I didn't have any family or extended family, nobody in Canada. So I was all alone. And I was just after my 12th, so HSC exams for the Bangladesh, universities and all that. So basically, very fresh, very naive, not much experience, coming from a very average middle class family where you hardly do anything, especially if you're a boy. The maximum you do at home is just pour water in your glass, and that's it. Hardly ever do anything. So
Yeah.
it was a big cultural shock, especially because are all by yourself. You are managing not only your day-to-day life, but you are building your future, as well as you're doing the main primary purpose of going somewhere, which was in my case studying. So you have to do studies. You have to basically look after yourself day-to-day basis, and then slowly, when you sort of establish yourself there, settle yourself there, you have your bills, and then comes the financial, all these obligation, commitment, and whatnot. So it was quite challenging. However, because I have been a very independent individual from at a very early age, so I knew what to expect. So it wasn't like mentally, I was not too fragile and I was quite well. Although I think the main challenges that I had was the financial and also the balance between, your ambition, your dreams, and the reality. So it was a big cultural shock, and that then became a reality check as well. So when we were thinking of going abroad, like when I was probably in year 9, 10, and then the visuals that come to your mind when you're thinking of going, say, I was actually meant to go to US, is like like flyovers, skyscrapers, flashy cars. It's a beautiful Hollywood like life, right?
Yeah.
But when you actually go there, it's completely different because first of all, you financially you are much worse off because you come from a country where the exchange rate and everything there's no comparison. So when I went to Canada, it was 33 or $34, 4 takas per Canadian
Per
dollar.
dollar.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was, and to call to Bangladesh, you used to buy a calling card, and with that $10 calling card, initially I used to get only 15 or 16 minutes, and then later on it became 40, and then 80, and then that. So to do anything and to even back home in Bangladesh, we didn't have a good internet connection. There was no video calls back then yet, and it was not that as smooth as and well connected as it is now. So I think there was mainly um, those things, and lack of information, lack of communication, all those things played a big role, as well as the immigration visa policies were much different as well, I think. Especially in Canada, when I was there, you could only work within campus for 20 hours max. And you can imagine, like at York, where I studied, York University, it was 40 plus thousand students in the undergrad and graduate programs, I suppose. So getting a job within the campus, it is quite challenging.
Very competitive. Sounds like
Very
it.
competitive. Yes, absolutely. So now things have changed. Now people can, like students can work outside the campus. It's still probably 20 or 25 hours max, but still you can actually avail other opportunities. But for when we were there, it was very limited and very competitive. And the pay was not that great as well. And so, yes, we had to look for alternatives, not always the best options. And what happens with that is when you try to deviate from your primary goal of studying, and all these other things come into your life and they take priority and then control of your mindset and how you're living your life, and then everything actually, if you're not strong enough and if you don't have a solid support network, then if everything can fall apart. So my advice to anyone who goes abroad as an undergrad student, especially like at a very early age, that you should thoroughly assess what you have, and especially financially, mentally, and if you're strong enough to live all by yourself, if you're independent enough to make all these decisions. Because one thing that we don't do in Bangladesh, or I'm sure in the subcontinent or in the third world or underdeveloped countries, we don't always make decisions ourselves. The decisions come from the guardians or your parents or your family, extended family sometimes. But when you're all by yourself, you make decisions every day. What you eat, what you do, how you spend your time, what is more important. And sometimes that quality, that mindset is not there in everyone, but quite naturally. Not everyone is that independent individual. So that is another thing that people should consider when going abroad. And obviously financial support, at least I would say, if you have the tuition fees support for at least the first 2 or 3 years, then you are probably a little better off. Because otherwise, in my case, what happened is, like, after the first semester, it was the second semester I was struggling because the situation in Bangladesh and my family changed drastically, and then I had to do things, and I had to make sure that I make some money, and then from full time I went to part time, and
Mhm.
again, what financial things does to you is like you lose focus and you get frustrated, and then you deviate and you get eventually derailed, and some students get even illegal migrant because because that's the fact of life. Like, you have to live, you have to pay your tuition, and if you don't have enough units, enough courses registered per term, then your visa status can be jeopardized, and you can lose your you know the temporary visa. And then all those dreams, everything will be shattered, and you'll probably be either end up as an illegal migrant, or you have to go back home. So financial, mental, these things are important, and the support network, that is another thing, which is, I think, now heaps better because of the improvement in connection, internet, all this information that are available online and also through social media. You'll probably find a lot of Facebook groups and yeah, a lot of ways, avenues to actually find information and contact with someone in your university that you're trying to get into, or in the city that you're trying to go. So back then we didn't have that. So that was another problem. And yeah, I think these were my challenges when I went to Canada. And the other thing is your goals, your ambition. It has to be realistic, but at the same time, don't make like a poor man's decision ever. Meaning, sometimes what happens when you can't see beyond a certain horizon, beyond a certain boundary, that okay, right now I have these courses, I'm enrolled in these courses, and I have to do this job, blah blah blah, and you shape your thoughts, your vision, and everything according to what you have just in front of you. But if sometimes opportunities come your way, uh, and it may be unexpectedly, it may be something that you have done in the past, whatever, don't hesitate to take those opportunities, even if you have to push your boundaries a little bit, because things will not come twice probably in your life. And if you have it, and just because you are in a certain situation and you think it's too risky, but if you think that it is actually it aligns with your ultimate goal or vision, or it may take you somewhere and you can pursue greater things, then by all means go for it. Obviously, don't make a totally impractical or totally not calculative decision. You have to, but I would say that you must do that. And I think in my life as well, I did that when I was in Canada, and after towards the end, I saw like all the international students are struggling to actually settle down because they don't have the experience, the job
Mhm.
experience. When they're passing out, like they're graduating from computer science degrees, they don't have jobs because the domestic students, they already have some experience,
Mhm.
and the international students, they don't have any. And then either they were extending their stay by going for a master's degree, or trying to do something across the border, so from Canada to US, or they had to go back home. For me, I thought like, no, I'm not gonna spend any more time because the journey by then wasn't great, and I can't see any future without like spending more money and more effort, and probably it will still be not successful. So I thought like, okay, maybe I have to find a different approach and probably try a different country. Luckily, fortunately, my then girlfriend and future wife, she was studying in Australia, and we actually decided whether she would come to Canada or I would come to Australia.
All right. Okay.
And yeah, there was a discussion about that because we were pretty determined that we would get married sooner or later, and
Yeah.
we'll settle our lives somewhere abroad as well. And then I think together we decided, no, it doesn't make sense for me to stay in Canada and for her all the way come to Australia, from Australia to Sydney, Toronto as well, because she already had a little bit of she could see that she's getting into the graduate program and
Right.
starting a career very soon. So I thought like, okay, I went to Bangladesh after my studies in Canada, and then I gave it a good thought. I actually worked in Bangladesh as well for 6-7 months on different projects. It was going well. But then I thought, no, I think I'm not meant for living in Bangladesh. The lifestyle, the way I think that my approach towards my life is not anymore the same as how students from Bangladesh or people in Bangladesh approach their lives. So I thought like, okay, let's go to Australia. So we got married, and then we moved to Australia, and I came to Perth. And here again, I didn't know anyone when I came here apart from my wife and my
different set of challenges.
Totally different
Yeah.
Stage in life and different sort of challenges. But Australia is a lucky country, and it has been very, very lucky country. I remember when I applied for a job back in early 2008. In the beginning, I was actually working as a freelance web developer, designer, and all that sort of stuff for a year and a half. I was doing that sort of work, but I wasn't feeling content, and I wasn't feeling like I'm actually doing much. I was also studying back then. I was planning to do a PhD in economics. You may ask, like, from computer science to economics, why?
Sure.
Yeah, because I wanted to. That was my father's dream. He wanted to do PhD himself, but he never. And I thought, like, okay, maybe I should try to fulfill that one. And I thought, like, maybe I should do something very in a generic discipline like economics instead of computer science, a very specific one. So I started that, and then I had to do some undergrad degrees because I don't have any background. So I finished an honors degree in economics, and then I decided, nah, that's not for me anymore. I think I have spent enough time in universities. So in 2008, I decided in February to let's just apply for jobs. And I applied. I remember like the job that I'm still working at the same workplace, ebooks.com. I remember I applied at 10:30 at night, and the next morning I woke up whether I'm available for an interview.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I got the job, and I started on Valentine's Day 2008.
Right.
I remember the date because it was Valentine's Day. Anyway, so it has been very lucky, and the journey in Australia so far is completely opposite. It's for the better from what I had in Canada.
So it's a very big contrast, and
yes.
And I just want to stop you there and just say a lot of the things you said, from the journey in Canada to now, your financial challenges, pressures, all the dodgy after night jobs students have to do to make some money here and there. I've been through it. It's the reality. I know we don't talk about it too much, but it is the reality. But one thing I think we touched on a little bit was, amongst all these pressures, financial and keeping up with your units and everything, the mental health piece, I think it definitely plays everywhere, isn't it? And one thing, I don't know if we have enough time to talk about it, is that support network, how important that support network is, and whether or not that's something students or prospective students need to look for as well. So Amida, let's go into your musical and creativity journey and that side of your life. That plays a big part of your role, and you're very active in that. So first question, I started off with some very short snippets about ghazals. Can you just briefly tell us in a few words, what is a ghazal in your own words?
So Ghazal is basically a genre of the light classical, Indian light classical music. So we have, the pure classical. So Ghazal is obviously vocals, It is very lyrical. The first meaning that I looked up in dictionary, in one of the Bangla dictionaries when I was a kid, it had basically written Urdu Premer Kobita, which means it's a romantic poetry written in Urdu, the language.
Oh wow.
But Ghazal is obviously the main thing is the poetry and the romanticism, and it talks about different events in life as well, but mostly romantic, positive or negative, like happy or sad way. And it is lyrical. It is very powerful in poetry. The grammar, you can search online and you will get all the semantics and syntax about the poetry side of things. But to me, Ghazal is as a way of expressing myself. It's an expression in which I feel comfortable, I feel at peace, I feel creative, I feel connected with my creative soul, and whatever little bit I have learned and still learning, and my musical journey, I basically express all of that whenever I perform Ghazal live, and that's in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's a lyrical aspect is there, but to me, it's more the musical side as well, where I experiment with the lyric and express it the way I connect with that lyric in that composition. And the ultimate goal, whenever I perform Ghazal, to be honest, in any music, and again, that came from my Ustadji's teachings as well. He used to say, he used to emphasize a lot on the meaning of the words of any composition, of any song, to understand the words, understand the expression, understand the emotion behind every word in a song, and then understand the tune, understand the ragas it may be based on, or the scale, and then how both the lyric and the tune, everything work together and make it then one music, make it sound a complete experience for both the singers, the audience. And my goal is obviously to achieve that as much as I can, but also through that experience, through that process, try to connect with the divine and with my audience. So Ghazal gives me that freedom. When I sing other types of music, it is
Oh wow.
it is not the same, because I can't express myself that freely, number one, and I can't always do all the creativity that I want to do. So Ghazal is my the most loved and most it represents me. It gives me that avenue to express myself the way I want in my music.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. And I really liked how you said that it does connect you to the divine or something greater when you're performing or when you're
Exactly.
in your own zone. You're in like a trance. You just
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know.
great. If you think about it, like we can't, in a lot of religion, they talk about God being invisible but everywhere. So music, when you're singing or even listening, it is invisible yet it's everywhere. If
Mm,
you're listening in a room in with your AirPods or just loudspeaker, it's there, yet you can't touch it. You
yeah.
feel its presence,
Mm,
but
yeah. It's
uh,
such a beautiful thing. Yeah.
yes. So yeah.
And do you think music, you're singing, you're creating something new, or even listening, how has this played a part in your growth as a person, in your job, or as being a father, or has this played
Yeah,
a
yeah. I mean, it's a massive. It played a massive role, especially if then I have to go back to that my student life in Canada as well, because I was, as I said, I was all alone, right? I
mm,
didn't have any friends initially, but when I left Canada, I probably knew 500 plus, and again, that happened
wow,
because of
okay,
my music.
yes, Okay.
because we formed a band. Somehow I got involved there at York University. We formed a Bangladesh student body there, and Bangladesh Students Association there. And I wrote the constitution. I was the founding vice president, cultural secretary. I played several roles there
Mm,
to establish the association. But the even before that, somehow it was because of my music, I connected with other individuals in the Bangladeshi student community at York
mm,
University, and even without that student community, whenever I felt lonely, I felt alone, I felt defeated, I felt I'm not in my comfort zone, I'm not myself, I always went back to my music. So I carried my briefcase harmonium, and so whenever I felt that life doesn't mean anything to me anymore,
wow. Yeah.
I used to just open my briefcase harmonium and
Yeah.
just spend time with that. And music healed me a
Mm,
lot. Music kept me going. So in my life, in my entire life, growth-wise as well, music opened up a lot of other things to me. Like if you talk about mental growth, if you talk about resilience, if you talk about clarity, even through music, I actually learned a lot of life skills, like how to be a better person.
mm,
It came through music
okay.
and the time I spent with music. And because I left at a very early age and and got separated from my musical, you know, learning side of things, like I was learning from my ustadji, and then I had to leave for my studies. So I had a lot of time to reflect on what I learned and all the times I spent with my Ustadji, and how and why and what he did meant, like whether it's talks, whether it's
Mm,
music,
mm.
everything. I actually had the time in those 5.5 years back in Canada to actually reflect upon, and then that helped me shape my next course of action, gave me mental strength to just carry on.
That's
So music
beautiful.
played a big part,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's something I guess it's always there. It's not going to be not like a person or a, you can count on, I guess. It's something you can count on to be always there.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and so the other point or question I had was, your journey, a lot of similar like yourself, I think um, they have to students or other people they have to leave certain things that they were following like music they have to leave it to come overseas and do that thing sometimes there's that brief gap or absence of something of the passion um, so I guess what I'm trying to say is some a lot of people what they used to do they can't do anymore so now then it becomes a bit of a hobby instead of what they used to learn as everyday practice and I've seen this as well here a lot of musicians or uh, drama actors that really are really good at acting at theater and drama they're doing it as a hobby not really mainstream I guess yeah what are your thoughts on this and what do you think about this impact on the future generation, on the kids of today?
Okay, that question is actually quite broad. So I'll break it into two segments. One is for us,
Mm,
for the migrants who actually migrated, and then there was a gap. Number one, not everyone actually, when we were in Bangladesh or India or Pakistan, Sri Lanka, all these passions, whether you are playing cricket or soccer or doing music or art or photography, not everyone actually thought of them as a career. So if it was always a hobby, then there is actually no gap. But sometimes, even if it was a hobby or if it was some sort of comes from a passion, later at your life, when you are sort of like financially, socially established, you feel like, okay, this is something I probably had a gift. and maybe I should do something more. And you can always go back. And I believe that if that's your way of expressing yourself, that's if there is something that calls you, if you have a calling, you should definitely go for it. It's one life. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah,
There may
we
be
only live
multiple
once.
lives, but this, in this body, in this spirit, in this, you know, with this everything, this is it. So you might as well just give it a shot.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And that gap and everything, yes, that plays a role, but then you have to be creative. You have to somehow still carry on. So as I said, like I had a band in Canada, which was a rock fusion band. It's a Bangla band. Because I couldn't play harmonium and I couldn't do shows. I was a student. Who would listen to my, Adhunik Bangla Gan or Nozrul Giti or Ghazals, right? So I then started singing more folk songs with guitars and drums and all that. And then we formed a band, Jaatishshor. Later on, we released a CD from Bangladesh, one of the major music labels actually released our work, a G series back in 2005, 2006, 5, that time period. So you have to be creative. I mean, if you are a sportsman, you probably can't play at the national level in a foreign country, but you can still start somewhere. So that's one thing. You should not give up your passion, because that is you. That also defines you. And for the second generation, that's a very interesting question, in the sense that this is where the dilemma comes. As parents, we are not yet fully, fully outgrew of what we were taught when we were growing up in Bangladesh, meaning, or in Canada, or sorry, or India, in those countries, meaning like we always were told that you have to be either a doctor or an engineer, you have to be either, maybe a lawyer, you have to do certain things or do the family business. So these are the main things that we have been always told, that you have to do that. And all these other things, whether you're going to be a singer or an actor or a sports person, they are like, okay, you need to have some hobbies so that you don't get into other bad stuff. You keep yourself busy and develop some skills, but at the end of the day, you pursue a very professional career, a white collar job or something. So now, coming from that mindset, when we migrate and we go through all these things, we also, no matter how talented my daughter is in music, or my son in cricket, or my other son in soccer, I'll always feel like, oh, maybe that's not a safe choice. It's not probably gonna bring them success in life. Now, what is success? That's another long question, but in a nutshell, it's how you feel valued, basically, how society values you, and you also feel valued. And you feel that, yes, I have achieved something in life. So, and the other thing is, in creative line, or in those lines, whether it's sports, it is not that easy, as in like to achieve some level of success in professional careers, like whether you're a doctor or engineer. You put in your time, effort. If you have the gray matter, then you will achieve that. You will secure a good job and a good life. Very safe. It's not that difficult, and especially coming from our countries, where we are very, very genetically smart people. I believe that. Call me proud, but yeah, I'm proud of that subcontinent. And obviously, there are other, China and Japan and that Asian countries. We are predominantly very, very clever, very smart. And coming from that background, and this is a very safe pathway to achieve safety, security in life, and achieve your little dreams, whatever. But when it comes to pursuing a career in creative field or a sports field, it is quite different, in the sense that how many Lata Mangeshkar or Arijit Singh or Shreya Ghoshal or Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift or Michael Jackson or Madonna we see in a decade? Not many. It is, and the other thing is, it's not under that individual's control to achieve that level of success. I'm not saying like you just have to be Arijit Singh. There are other singers as well who are also doing well. But then again, when you actually choose that passion, choose that path, majority of them will have a dream of being Arijit Singh or Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift or Shreya Ghoshal, because that's what they listen to, they grow up with, and they aspire to be. Whereas if you choose the other safe pathway, then you probably just pick any extended family or your father or mother who is a doctor or engineer, and you just try to be like them. So, for a migrant parent, myself, we are always in a dilemma. We think like, okay, should we let them choose their creative pathway, creative career, or should we also ask them? And by all means, education is important. I can't just let my daughter just sing every day, and later on she if she becomes a high school dropout or something like that, she may not make the best of the decisions in her life just because she doesn't have the proper education. So I think, yes, we should be, I'm talking about myself, we should be more open to ideas about our next generation to, you know, pursue something that we couldn't because of our struggles, because of our mindset. At the same time, we should also be mindful of the things, of the challenges, of the heartbreaks as well that come their way, that can come their way, and be as supportive as we can. Everyone is different, and in a land of opportunity like Australia, yes, they should go for it. Who knows? We may actually have another, biggest pop star or sports person from our community representing Australia or representing, like, doing really well in the global platforms. Yeah.
Okay. No, absolutely. Parenting and the dilemmas that's probably another topic for another podcast. It'll be another session, I think. I can go on. No, we're almost coming to the end of it. I just had I think two more questions with that. The next one, again, I think we've had lots of discussions on, and you will have a different opinion, but it's about Ghazals and its place today in today's music. Compared to competing with all the other kinds of music that's going on the radio, mainstream, playing on radio stations. Some ghazals are timeless. Some are being remixed, remade in popular music. Lyrics are very simple, but they're very complex. So what are your thoughts on ghazals in today's environment, with today's generation, and even the next? What do you think will happen?
I believe, I want to believe that Ghazal will stay forever. It will not go anywhere. Maybe the number of audience may fluctuate over time. It can grow and it can shrink. That's only time can tell. In today's music, as you said, it's no longer music; it's a business. In whatever you look at, any creative things, you see, like, the moment you turn on your car radio and then enter a shopping center, wherever you listen to music or open your Spotify, you're forced to listen to the same music, and that is because there are a lot of money being put in, and it is not just Western music; it's also in Indian music. Everywhere, it's actually very much a product that people, the music industry, wants to sell to their audience. However, there will be always that curious mind that that search, those type of people who will not be happy with what
The
are
mainstream.
being fed
Mm.
by the mainstream. So Ghazal will always be there. And Ghazal was never a popular commercial mainstream music genre anyway. However, it changed over time, of course, like the olden style of presentation, and then from there to Mehdi Hasan Saab, Ghulam Ali Khan Saab from Pakistan, and then to Jagjit Singh and Pakka Judas, that time period, and then to Hari Haranji, and even these days when Jazim Sharma, Pratibha Singh, and then Prithvi, Gandharv, and all the other new singers, how they're doing ghazals, it evolved with time, and I think it will definitely thrive. It will be there, amongst the Ghazal lovers. And as you said, the way forward for me is simplicity. I think if you make it complex, because uh, our attention span has reduced significantly. We
Oh,
can
yes.
last probably 10 to 40 seconds max, or even less, 10 to 20 seconds. So if something is too complex, and if the audience is not prepared, not ready for that complex content, then it will not stick. It will not live. So for that, I think whoever is passionate about Ghazal, we should consider that that we should answer that question. That okay, what am I, or what are we trying to achieve, or what is the future for Ghazal? And to me, that the answer is it should be simple yet authentic. It shouldn't sound like a commercial Bollywood music. It shouldn't
Mm,
sound like something that cannot be a Ghazal. But at the same time, it shouldn't be too complex. The language shouldn't be too hard to understand. It shouldn't require someone to just Google search everything. And yeah, and then tune wise, it has to be it should be of this time. At the same time, it should be creative enough. It should bring in something new as in not necessarily I'm talking about like rap music, or I'm not talking about fusion. I'm talking
okay.
about within the ghazal space. If you can bring something that wasn't done before musically, whether it's arrangement, whether it's tune,
Mhm.
whether it's the singing style, yeah, but lyrically it has to be simple. That I believe that is absolutely necessary, and that was probably why Jagjit Singh Ji's ghazals were so popular, because they were lyrically very simple, arrangement-wise very modern from of that time, and sound quality, production quality-wise, very very spot on. And the other thing I think also is required for ghazal to actually be big is support, is sponsorship from some, you know, ghazal lovers, the audience, and the producers as such. Because, we don't, when we go, like I visited Melbourne, right? And Sydney and Auckland and all these cities. And also we do shows in Perth as well. We don't expect like anything beyond like 600. The last
Mm,
Sydney show was 470. It was a houseful show. And that is probably like way more than my expectation. I
yeah.
expect like around 300 to 400 people, and that would be lovely. And because they come for Ghazal. So we don't need anything bigger than that. But to have a show and to have a concert with that many people, audience, it actually, cost wise, it is not financially viable to just, recoup like get that money from the audience, because it will be then taxing the audience too much. So we
Mm,
need people, we need sponsors to come forward and just do some sort of like invest their money, invest their time to promote this genre, because this is a beautiful genre. And with their support, it can again be like really big. And because it has the potential to touch hearts quite easily, because it's so lyrical, right?
yes.
And it's a beautiful genre of Indian music, and it needs that support from
Yes.
both sponsors and
Mm.
audience. Yeah.
I think that you're right, spot on. That is the way forward, I guess, is with support from people who listen to it. Now, speaking of people who listen to it, the next question I wanted to ask you was, what is, I guess, on your playlist right now? What do you listen to? Maybe top three songs. It could be your own songs. That's fine. But what are you listening to these days?
I listen to everything. I'm right now. I think the last few songs that I have listened are from the Prime web series. I think that's gonna be uh, telecasted from 13th of December, maybe, or 12th.
Okay.
The Bandish Bandit season 2. That is a musical.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that I learned. I listened to that one, a few of the releases because they released the audio. And apart from that, my regular playlist is basically Mehdi Saab, Mehdi Hassan,
Yeah.
and Jagjit Singh, of course. But because I have listened to Jagjit Singh ji a lot of the times, I only look for like any rare recordings. But
Right.
Mehdi Saab is someone I listen to pretty much every day because he is a complete artist.
Mm,
And just if you just study, if you just listen to one ghazal, anyone, pick any
mm,
one of his live performances, you learn so much about music.
mm.
You learn so much about how to perform ghazal, how to approach the genre, and how to present. And you learn a few techniques as well just by listening to him. So I listen to him, and yeah, that's
Okay.
that's
Well,
that's
wonderful. I'm
always
sure
on my playlist.
I will look up the other one that you mentioned, the Prime one, because I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah,
Um,
those songs are available on YouTube. I think yeah, they've
yeah.
released. Yeah,
Okay, wonderful. And one more thing, Amida, is I think this is very, very recent news. Something about some collaboration that you did. It's not publicly available, the news. So I just want to see if you want to share with our viewers the awards that
yeah.
was won. Yeah.
So yeah, Preet. Yeah. So we have a band in Perth, Indo jazz band, which is Swarasynthesis, and the main founding members of the band. Two of them are myself and Obra Banerjee. He's from Kolkata originally, and he's a sarod player and a music composer, producer. So I've been working with him, like because the band we have been working together for, I think like at least 4 years now. So and he has been producing a lot of music, and I've given a lot of guide vocals, if you understand.
Mm,
Like so, basically, some of the tracks that he has created for Mahalakshmi Ayarji and Hariji and Rashid Khan Saab. But I've gave the scratch or the guide vocal for two of the tracks. One
mm.
of them were actually sung by Mahalakshmi Ayarji, and that won many awards as well. So I've been working with him on and off. But recently, there were a few songs that he actually uh, he asked me that Amit, you wanna sing? I'm like, yes, why not? And then I've sang, and one of them were actually, yeah, one of them were in a mixed album that also featured all the maestros, big names from
Mm.
the music industry. So Hariji, late Ustad Rashid Khan Sahab, Talat Aziz Sahab, and Mahalakshmi Arji, and from Kolkata, Raghav Chatterjee, I think. Yeah, so one of my songs that I sang was there in that featured album, in that mixed album, and
Okay.
that got the Clef Music Award from Mumbai early, not early, like in October, I think, sometime. So Abrada went to Mumbai and collected the award. And very recently, Hangama All Out, Artist All Out, they're a big name in the independent music industry. So few of Abrada's, I think three of his compositions got awarded. And in one of them, I actually sang. It was a blues track. It was more contemporary music, not
Okay.
ghazal. That won the blues award for 2024. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
it's an honor and
A great,
privilege,
great
and
achievement. Yeah.
yeah, it's a very humbling experience. And yeah, we have worked together on a few other tracks. One of them is called Classically Perth,
Okay.
very creative. So basically,
Nice.
all the artists who are somewhat linked with classical music in Perth, we
Mm.
came together and collaborated under our brother's leadership, as in like he composed the track and he made everyone come together. So that's another track that's also available on Spotify, and all these tracks are available on Spotify. And you'll see, yeah, they should be under my name as well,
Okay.
Amitabh Islam on Spotify as well.
No,
Yeah,
wonderful, beautiful. I think for the benefit of viewers, we will share the links to the Spotify, your YouTube channel,
yeah, that would be
in the
wonderful.
link. And no, that's amazing. I do have one last request, and then you can say no as well, Amida. But if you are happy to just sing a few lines of maybe just a ghazal, one of your favorites, or then we can end the podcast on that note.
Do you have any requests, Preet?
No, it's all up to you. Yeah, feel free, whichever.
So this is actually my originally my Ustaji's composition. Then I made some changes to it. So this is the second Ghazal release that I did. It's an original composition. The lyric is by Dag Delvisab. It's actually very old lyric, 140 years old,
Wow. Okay.
150 years old. But
Wow.
it's still it is still very much like a 2024.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
Timeless,
anyone
timeless. Ghazals are
timeless.
timeless. Exactly.
Exactly. Based in Charukeshi, Charukeshi. So I'll give it a try.
Sure.
The गजब किया तेरे वादे पे गजब किया तेरे वादे पे एतबार किया तमाम रात क़यामत का इंतजार किया गजब किया तेरे वादे पे एतबार किया. Thank you.
Wow, beautiful, wonderful. Oh, I wish we could hear more, Amida. That was amazing. And again, I know this is on one of your YouTube channels. I'll definitely share the
Yes,
link
on Spotify as well. Yeah,
on
on all
Spotify.
digital platforms. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, Amida. And
Thank you,
on
Preet.
that note, we will end the podcast. But no, thank you for your time.
Thank
Really
you so
appreciate
much for having me, Preet. Thank you. Thank you to Unzip Reboot Live URL as well. Thank you so much.
it. Thanks, Amida.